Good evening and once again welcome to my YouTube channel, Pearson and Excel International Maths by Mr. Kamoto. And today I want to introduce a very important topic, Algebra 7. And under Algebra 7, we shall be introducing ourselves to solving quadratic equations by factorizing. And I know we are not new with the word quadratic equation, and this is the general format of a quadratic equation: ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0, where a is not supposed to be equals to 0, because if it was 0, then the first term will be 0 and we will not have the highest power being 2, and the power 2 is the one that gives this equation the name quadratic equation. When a is 0, then this whole term is 0 and we remain with a linear function. Well, I just want to talk about how we solve quadratic equations. And for example, if you'll have x squared minus 64 being equals to 0, there is nothing common here, so straightforward. You will be expected to talk about x squared is equals to 64, and therefore x is the square root of 64, which is plus or minus 8. But when you have something like x squared minus 7x is equals to 0, x is common and therefore x gets outside, and within the bracket we have x squared divided by x, we have x, minus 7x divided by x, we have minus 7. So we have two numbers multiplied out to give us 0. It is possible that one of them is 0, and in this case x itself can be 0 or x minus 7 can be 0. And if this is true, then x is going to be equals to 7. But I want to introduce a very general method of solving quadratic equation, and this is the one I'm talking about, factorization method. So in such a question, x squared minus 81, realize that we are lacking the middle term, and the best thing to do is to include the lacking term, but let it come with a lot of emptiness. We talk about x squared plus 0x plus, or rather minus 81, is equals to 0. So in such a situation, you find that a is 1, b itself is 0, and c is negative 81. The reason why I did this is so that we can give it an approach of BAC method, and our b is 0, and our AC is the product of a and c, which is 1 times negative 81, which is negative 81. So that we can now welcome the two famous questions. And what are they? Which two numbers do we add? They give us b, which is a 0, and at the same time the two numbers, we multiply them out to give us negative 81. And the fact that when we add those two numbers we get 0, it means that the two numbers are equal, only that they have the opposite signs. One is a plus, the other one is a minus. If you think of two numbers which when multiplied together will give you 81, and the numbers are the same, only that one is negative, the other one is positive, something crops up immediately in your mind that the two factors are 9 and a minus 9. So we have 9 plus minus 9 is 0. Of course, you'll give us a b. And 9 times negative 9 is negative 81. So what we do, we pick the two factors and replace the middle term, and we have it like now x squared plus 9x minus 9x minus 81 is equals to 0. If you look at plus 9x minus 9x, it's so much the same as 0x, because when you talk about plus 9 and then minus 9, it's one of the same thing if we said 0, and that is what we had originally. The reason why we have replaced the middle term so that we can deal with two terms at a time and realize what is common in the first two terms, and you realize that x is common. And when x is common, inside the bracket we have x plus 9. And in the next two terms, that is minus 9x minus 81, what is common is obviously a minus 9. Inside the bracket, we are going to have minus 9x divided by minus 9 is x. Negative 81 divided by negative 9 is a positive 9. And this continues to give us 0. So this bracket is repeated, so we write it only once, x plus 9. And then these outer terms form a bracket of their own together. So we have x minus 9 is equals to 0. At that particular point, it follows that x plus 9 times x minus 9 is 0. And of course, when this is the case, it looks like this number times this number will give you 0. It is only possible when this one is 0, or this one can also be 0. So when x, if it is the tan of x plus 9 to be equals to 0, then x is equals to negative 9. If it is now the tan of x minus 9 to be equals to 0, then x itself is a positive 9. I have introduced the ultimate method of factorizing, though it would have been very easy to anybody to realize that x squared minus 81 is 0, then x squared should have been 81, and therefore x is the root of 81, which is plus or minus 9. This is the easiest thing to do, which is allowed, which is okay for this particular question, but for the sake of the long method, is what we have done is we have introduced the BAC approach, which in other words we call the factorizing approach. The factorizing approach. Please remember there are so many other methods of solving quadratic equation. And before we leave that, then I would want to explain something to do with x squared minus 10x plus 21 is equals to 0. In this case, a is equals to 1, you can see, b is equals to minus 10, and c is equals to 21. So if we give it, they give it the BAC approach, you're going to have minus 10, and 1 times 21 is 21. So which two numbers we add, they give us a minus 10, and the same numbers we multiply, they give us 21. And obviously, we realize that we have a minus 3 and a minus 7 to give us minus 10. And when multiplied, we get 21. So we replace the middle term and we talk about x squared minus 3x minus 7x plus 21, x minus 3 minus 7, x minus 3, and x minus 3 is 0. If this is true, x is equals to 3. If it is this time x minus 7, which is 0, then x is equals to 7. Okay, That is it. And please follow so that I've just worked